This is the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose, teaching influencers and bloggers how to become successful entrepreneurs. This is episode 122 of the Influencer Entrepreneurs Podcast with Jenny Melrose. All right, you guys, last week I alluded to this week's topic, and I am actually taking a little bit of a twist on things here, and I am going to be talking about how American Idol contestants are using their social media influence in order to help them move along in the contest and grow an avid audience that is taking the time to actually vote for them. So I know that this seems like a far off kind of thing, but last week we talked about on the podcast social media influencers, and I gave you a complete guide. I really broke down exactly how to become one, how to be a top social media influencer, and even talked a little bit about pricing. Now, this week, I want to actually show you how I believe certain contestants on American Idol are using their newfound social media influence to sway their audience to help them push them forward in the contest. All of the contestants, obviously, on American Idol are, in my opinion, talented. I am not a singer. I do not have singing ability whatsoever. I will not do karaoke. You do not want to hear that. No one needs to hear it. So, of course, I am not a judge. You may have a different opinion about American Idol, and that's totally up to you. But I want you to take the pieces away from this that you can take. And that's the idea of how you can also use your social media influence to do exactly what these contestants are doing and why it is working so well. All right, you guys, let's dive in. Hey guys, so I am so excited to be able to follow up with you all because I have a little bit of a hunch on something. So I don't know about you guys, but I am an avid American Idol watcher. I know it's a pleasure of mine that I just cannot get away from. I absolutely love it. I like watching the beginning phases. I am even still intrigued where normally I start to lose interest, I feel like, as we get down to the final contestants for American Idol. But not this year. I normally really enjoyed the judges. I get a kick out of Luke Bryan, and of course, Lionel Richie and Katy Perry are just hilarious altogether. But one of the reasons that I wanted to talk with you today is because I've been talking a lot about social media influencers and how they're able to actually use their influence in order to sway others, and also kind of definitely been talking about the fact that they need to be as consistent as possible. The content that you put out is so important as a social media influencer because it brings your audience in. It makes you relevant. And if you're doing it on Instagram, you're going to be rewarded because the more you use the platform, the more Instagram is going to show your content to others. Now, what does this all have to do with American Idol? Well, I have a prediction, and I'm sure some people are going to, this could come down, and I'm going to actually tell you the date so that you know exactly when I recorded this episode. Today is April 23rd. So if you have any idea, the top 8 was revealed, Sunday night. So right now there's 8 left, and I'm going to make my prediction as far as who I think the final 2 are going to be. And what you're going to see is my final 2 isn't necessarily based on talent for me. It's actually based on their social media influence. Because as many of you know, American Idol is all about the voters, the audience, right? You have to actually go in and you've got to text in order to pick your top people. It's not up to the judges anymore. What the contestants in the top 8 have been really smart about doing, and there's some that are starting to do it more, and there's others whose followings have skyrocketed on Instagram because they've consistently been doing it throughout the entire time. And this is creating the content. putting content consistently up on Instagram, whether it is a new video of them singing a song, whether it is them on the piano, whatever it might be, interacting with other contestants and showing who they truly are. Because you guys, as social media influencers, you need to be making a connection with your audience. You need to be doing the same thing. That consistency that you bring to the table allows your audience to truly understand what you are all about. If they don't understand what you're about and are not seeing you as relevant because you're not creating consistent content, you're just going to be forgotten. There are too many social media influencers now to not be consistent, to make sure that you are relevant and are being seen. So my top 2 for American Idol is going to be Alejandro. And I also believe that Lane Hardy will be in the top 2. Now, this is solely based on, I know they're both men, this is solely based on their Instagram. If you go over to either one of their accounts, you're going to see what I'm talking about. Alejandro's account is at Scary Pool Party. It's a little something different. But of course, American Idol has their own Instagram and they've been tagging him. So his following just skyrocketed. Now, what has helped him, of course, obviously he's on American Idol. He's going to be getting attention. They're tagging him as well. But what has happened is he is consistently creating content for the platform. He is posting a video almost every day. Even Luke Bryan this past week made a comment about the fact that one of the first things he does in the morning is he goes and he checks Alejandro's Instagram account. He wants to see what else he's creating. What is he creating next? Now, Lane Hardy is another great example. He is also doing the same thing and has been since the very beginning of the show being aired, letting people know, following along. Now, whether or not either one of them have someone behind them kind of saying this is what you need to be doing, or this is them figuring it out, I do believe that it is going to greatly affect their results as they continue to move forward in the contest. I have a personal favorite based on her singing ability, but I have noticed that her social media account is not doing the same thing. She's not posting videos. She's not sharing herself. And in order for people, as they like to say, as Ryan Seacrest likes to say, in order for America to vote, they need to have their favorites. They need to feel connected, to take that time to actually send in a text, watch the show, stay consistent with it, especially with it now going to voting where it's live voting. Now, I know this may seem a little off the cuff as far as you're talking straight American Idol here. And if you're not an American Idol fan, I apologize. But there is something that you can learn from this. And that's the point that I really want to make sure that I am hitting home with you. Being a social media influencer, you need to stay consistent with your content. You need to be making sure that it is in line with who you are. It's also something else that has shown up in American Idol is the consistency and how the certain contestants are able to turn their voice and make their, whatever song they're singing, make it their genre, make it fit for their voice. This is the same thing when you're creating your content for Instagram. You want to make sure there's that consistency. And when you do that, you will see that you will have this audience that is going to continue to come and want to get more content from you. This is especially true, again, cannot push this enough, on Instagram and using Instagram stories. If you are consistently in your Instagram stories, you will be rewarded with the algorithm. Not only in your stories will you come to the front. If you look, you will notice that you are coming to the, you can't really notice your own, but if you notice others, look at the ones when you go into Instagram and you look at Instagram stories, who's at the front? Is it people that you consistently interact with? Probably people that you DM, that you send messages to, or that you like an emoji of. Those are the people that are going to be at the front of your Instagram stories. Same as if you are putting out content and you're telling people how to engage with you on your Instagram stories, whether it's DM me for the recipe, DM me for the link, or it is tell me, ask a question, do a poll. when people then do that, you have to go into your DMs and make sure that you're asking them another question. Continue to build that relationship with them so that you can get to the front of their Instagram stories. Because what will then happen is when you're at the front of their Instagram stories, they're going to consistently see your content as well as your posts in the feed. Those posts are going to start to come up. And I personally noticed this when I was watching American Idol. They're popping up the Instagram handles, and I started looking at it from the social media influencer lens. How are these contestants using their influence that they've now gained on a national scale on television? How are they continuing to sway people in order to vote for them? Because that's what it is. It's a popularity contest based on talent, but it also is based on getting the audience to fall in love with them and to take the time to vote, to like their personality, and to know who they are. So someone that is posting more consistently on Instagram is likely to see a more avid audience taking the time to vote for them when it comes time to the contest. So mark my words, you will see Alejandro and Lane Hardy, unless they totally mess up in the next couple weeks. But you will see them, I believe, in the top 2 because of their Instagram accounts, the social media influence that they are using in order to really pull in that audience that trusts them. And you can do the same. So take the time, make sure that you're consistently posting content on Instagram, on your platforms, because when people know what to expect from you, that's when you end up with a die-hard audience. All right, guys, there you have it. Clearly, I have a little bit of an American Idol obsession. You're going to have to forgive me here. But I wanted you to really be able to take a real life example of how people are using their social media influence to catapult their careers forward. And you can be doing the same thing. So I would love to actually know if you are an American Idol watcher, tag me on your Instagram stories the next time that you are watching it at Jenny_Melrose. I just want to see I'd love to know who you think should win. And you don't have to base it based on social media influence. You can base it on their actual talent and who you prefer as a singer. But I would love to know who it is that you are voting for if you are an American Idol user. And if you're not to worry. I still want to see how you are listening and what your big takeaway was in understanding how you can apply the same principles of being a social media influencer that I talked about these contestants are also doing. All right, guys, I appreciate you all so much. Especially appreciate when you leave me a review on iTunes. It just helps other influencers, helps other podcast listeners find my podcast. And I just so appreciate y'all so much. All right, until next time, I will see you all then.